I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor.
Present.
Councilman Epstein.
Here.
Councilman Blakeman.
Here.
Councilwoman Guzman.
Here.
Councilman Hughes.
Here.
Councilman Santino.
Here.
Councilwoman King Sweeney. Receiver of taxes, Dominic Slater.
Here. Please call the first public hearing.
Petition of Commissioner of Police to demolish and remove a one-story wood frame, one-family dwelling in the debris from property in East Rockaway.
Laura, is it Laura Ellis?
Yes.
Okay. Vice Speaker. Commissioner will just stand there for a moment. Good morning. Why don't you sit down so we can hear from you? Thank you.
I'm Laura Ellison, of counsel to Schiller and Knapp. My client is Champion Mortgage. I'm appearing today on behalf of my client Champion Mortgage to seek a postponement or adjournment of this matter to the next town meeting. My client Champion bought this mortgage in Generation in May of 2015. This is a dilapidated property that has been boarded up since 2011. Champion has been going through the notes and history from Generation Mortgages notes and speaking with HUD to determine what they want to do with this property and what can be done with the property. So at this time I was just seeking a postponement of this hearing.
Okay, what we normally do, and Commissioner, maybe you could give just sort of a brief, this is Commissioner John Radcliffe from the Building Department.
Just kind enough to speak with me.
Oh, okay, so you have been sort of apprised of the situation. Ms. Ellis, what we do normally is, of course, before we bring this demolition hearing, we have the architect Michael Bonacasa here. And we go through a pretty rigorous process to determine whether there is structural integrity to the piece of property. Obviously, I know that the conclusion will be that there is no structural integrity, otherwise we would not bring, it would not be to this point where we bring a demolition action. What we have done in the past, and we've had a number of attorneys who come in sort of at the last moment who have been retained. I know you have been retained actually for your firm for about 6 months now?
Schiller and Knapp? Yes.
Yes, okay. We've had, usually it's a little sooner than that, a little more recent. That's sort of a fair amount of time to do some investigation. But we've had the scenario in the past where attorneys come in, they've just been retained, et cetera, they need some time. What our concern is, and I'm not speaking for the board, we'll obviously have a vote, but our concern in the past has been, number one, of course, public safety. And when we get to the point where we have an architect, an engineer, talking about the integrity and the fact, or the lack thereof, what we'd like to do is we generally like to enter an order of demolition, but the building department will work with you as the council for the mortgage holder, and we enter the order. So if for some reason the mortgage holder does not end up coming through doing what they have to do, and most times they do, but sometimes they don't, we have the order that is entered, and so the building department can go right forward with the demolition. This way we are protecting the public, and that's of course our number one concern. Commissioner Larkin, anything to add?
Council President, member of the board, and this has been going on, as you said, since 2011. This house is extremely damaged, as well as the fact that it is over 50%. So at that point, due to the fact that it is in a flood zone, this home would have to be elevated if they wanted to save it, and this house is not worth saving, let alone going.
All right. So I'm not sure if anybody else, obviously.
Thank you, Supervisor. And again, Commissioner, this piece of property, this structure, can't call it a home, this structure has been on our radar screen for quite some time, has it not?
Absolutely, Supervisor.
And we've made repeated efforts to have the property dealt with by the various owners over the years.
That's correct.
And we're at the point now where simply from our own, and I guess from our architect's opinion at this point, the structure can't be saved. And it does. This is a residential neighborhood, single-family homes, a lot of children in the neighborhood, a lot of kids. And obviously the potential, of course, is there for the structure to become hazardous to anyone who may, for whatever reason, try to get access into it. And would be, it's an unsafe structure to be in, is that correct?
Everything you said is absolutely correct. As a matter of fact, there has been vandalism inside, which tells us there are kids hanging out inside of that structure as well. So yes, absolutely.
Okay, so obviously this becomes, not only is it an aesthetic problem for the people of Bay Park, it's obviously a safety issue at this juncture. Would you not concur?
I can go 100%.
Okay. So I don't know, Counselor, what a reasonable timeframe, since this has been something that has been dealt with, and I realize not your firm, but has been dealt with, being dealt with by the town. It's been something that the people of Bay Park have been suffering with for the last 4 years. I would say, unless, as the supervisor indicated, unless very rapid progress can be made on this, I think it is time to take definitive action. So I don't know what's reasonable, Commissioner, at this point. If the counselor's client wanted to move with all due speed, what's a reasonable amount of time?
Usually 30 days.
30 days. Okay.
Yeah, so I think we would propose, as I say, entering, as Councilman Santino said, entering an order potentially for demolition, but with the understanding that you've already begun to speak. We'd be happy to work with you, but to understand what our overarching concerns are. So.
And by my recollection, 30 days will be the first week in January. So at that point, the people of Bay Park should either see some action being taken by counselor's client, or the demolition order will be effectuated. Correct?
So does anybody else wish to be heard on this particular matter? I don't have any other speakers. All right, thank you, Ms. Ellis. May I have a motion?
Yes, Supervisor. At this time, I move that the petition of the Commissioner of Buildings, that the public hearing be closed and the petition of the Commissioner of Buildings be approved.
Second.
Supervisor Murray.
Aye.
Councilman Epstein.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Boosley.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Kingston.
Okay. Before we call the next public hearing, we have a student from Levittown. Is it Christian? What is the last name? Is it Christian or Christina? Oh, Cup. Okay. Well, welcome. Welcome to a town board meeting. We hope that you have an educational, you're educated and illuminated on local government. Thank you for being here. All right, please call the next public hearing.
Proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Uniondale.
I don't think I have any speaking slips. Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter? May I have a motion?
I move that public hearing be closed and the local law adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Murray. Councilman Epstein. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Boosley. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Kingston.
Please call the next public hearing.
Proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Elmont and Merritt.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter? May I have a motion?
Public hearing be closed, local law adopted. Second.
Supervisor Murray.
Aye.
Councilman Epstein. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Boosley. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Kingston.
Please call the next public hearing.
Proposed local law regarding arterial stops in North Valley Street.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter? May I have a motion?
Yes, Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and that the item be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Murray. Councilman Anderson. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Boothby. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino. Councilman King Sweeney.
Please call the next public hearing.
Proposed law regarding gross weight restrictions in Lakeview.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter? May I have a motion?
I move that the proposal of the law be adopted.
Supervisor Murray. Councilman Anderson. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Boothby. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino. Councilman King Sweeney.
Please call the next public hearing.
Proposed handicap parking on public streets in Baldwin, Elmont, Uniondale, and Levittown.
Does anybody wish to be heard? May I have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and proposed local law adopted.
Second motion.
Supervisor Murray. Councilman Anderson. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Boothby. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino. Councilman King Sweeney.
Please call the next public hearing.
Proposed leasing of space on an elevated water tank in the East Meadow Water District in Uniondale.
Okay. Mr. Katniss? Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see you.
We had sent the letter to town board stating our opposition
Can I ask you, Mr. Katniss, I'm sorry to interrupt, yeah, just to speak, or pull the microphone to you a little bit. Thank you so much.
the letter we wrote, which the board members received a copy of, I'd like to have it put on record.
Sure.
We requested that no further work be done on the south panels that are on the tower. We're concerned about the health effects. We have an article here in which several doctors indicated the health effects of the cell phone causing cancer and the illness. And those people on the record. The legal rules is very difficult to understand. It says here, all cell phones will be put on this tower. I had a call from Mr. Reinhardt.
Yes.
He said, no, that's not the case.
Right.
I just want to make sure they're not going to add other towers that they want to use.
Right, I understand, Mr. Katniss, and actually Commissioner Reinhardt is behind you. Maybe he could speak, and it will certainly be part of the record, and I think to clarify your understanding of what is being proposed.
Thank you, Supervisor. Yes, I spoke to Mr. Katniss yesterday afternoon. The lease that's being considered here today is actually a renewal of an existing lease that first was passed in 1994. The initial lease being with Cellular One, its successor now being the new Singular PCS. The lease essentially is the same as the initial lease. It's the same number of antennas that are on there. There's nothing being relocated to this site. The use of the site is remaining the same. The amount of visits that are going to be there by the cell companies will not change. They usually are there about once a month to check their equipment. The only thing that has changed in the lease is a little bit of term of art as far as the frequency, upgrades that they can make at these sites as the cellular industry as they continually evolve the industry. The old lease kind of called for every time they wanted to make changes, a lot of legalese have to be taken care of. Those small generational changes can be carried out with this lease now, and an update in the rental accordingly for that consideration.
But the bottom line is this: the number of lessees is not increasing on this. Is it the water tower? Is that what it is?
It's water tower at Footman Street.
So we're not having any extra, no additional antennae are being put on this water. So there's simply a renewal of all the leases that have gone back to 1994.
No more cellular towers put on that tower because of the health effects. I guess I got that on record.
Right.
The effect of sun rays on
Mr. Cappies, you can be assured that there are no additional antennae are being placed on this water tower, not one extra. Okay, thank you, Mr. Cappies. Does anybody else wish to speak on this item? If not, may I have a motion?
I move that the proposed local law be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Cappies. Aye.
Councilman Emerson. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino. Councilman Kingston.
Please call the next public hearing.
Proposed amendment of Article 8, Section 78 of the Building Zone Ordinance of the Town of Hempstead in relation to two-family dwelling in B8 Residence District.
Okay, Mr. Patches. Good morning.
Felix Procacci, 1165 Farm Street, Franklin Square, New York.
Thank you.
First of all, the amendment wasn't put on the website in accordance with, New York State law. This has been a problem since the law was enacted in 2012. I wish the town would put the details. It's very simple these days. I mean, I'll show you how to do it if you want. You have a Word document, you export the PDF, and you get up on the website and look on the flat. It's not a big deal. You're trying to document, put it up there just to review. Because I saw what you had on the website in relation to extending the duration of a permit for a two-family dwelling for a period of 5 years. What's this law about? That's really the question.
This is a renewal of an existing law for some areas in Franklin Square in and around 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Streets and 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Avenues. That's been renewed every 5 years by the town board since approximately 1950, 1955. It's a renewal to allow those premises to have 2 kitchens in their houses.
Okay, so this the amendment essentially is it's like the law is identical to what it was before. There's no
Correct.
changes, so
Correct.
it's reenacting. Okay, so it would be helpful if this would just be put on the website so people would know, that this is the case.
I believe that what happened in this particular case is that the law itself was published 2 weeks ago, or whenever our last meeting was, under the resolutions calling a public hearing, and for some reason that didn't carry forward. And I'll look into that to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody else wish to be heard on this now? That may have a motion.
I move that the public hearing be closed and the item adopted. Second.
Supervisor Murray. Councilman Emerson. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino. Councilman Kingston.
Before we call the decision calendar, I'd like to also welcome another student, Anya Hiss. Are you here? Oh, good morning. And you're working on a project this with Hunter College?
Yeah.
All right, excellent. What year are you in school? I'm sorry? Oh, a freshman. Good for you. All right. Good luck in school and welcome. All right, please call the decision calendar.
The decision calendar, we have application of DECA Associates LLC for modification of declaration of restricted covenants dated November 19, 2014 in Belgium, Hallway.
May I have a motion?
I move that the application be approved.
Supervisor Murray. Councilman Emerson. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Boothby. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino. Councilman Kingston.
Please call the next decision.
Application of VS Corona Inc. to rezone from Residence B District to Business X District in Valley Stream. I also have a companion application of VS Corona Inc. for permit to improve existing gasoline service station within GSS District in Valley Stream. May I have a motion?
I move that both items be adopted.
Supervisor Murray. Aye. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Boothby. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Please call the next decision.
Application of OTM Gas LLC for permit to include existing gasoline service station within GSS District, install 3 pump aisles, 4 multi-product dispensers, 2 underground gasoline storage tank, erect 2 canopies, and convert the service bay building into a convenience store, and operate self-service on premises in Seaford.
May I have a motion?
I move that the application be approved.
Second.
Supervisor Murray.
Aye.
Councilman Ambrosino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Boothby. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilman King Sweeney.
Please call the administrative calendar.
On the administrative calendar, we have items 1 through 44.
Does anyone wish to start any of the items? If not, may I have a motion?
I move the administrative calendar in its entirety.
You don't indicate which items.
Oh, yeah, it's several. First, items 7 through 12, this is all related. First, since these are all advertising expenses, publicity, in some of the description because of publicity, these expenses should be put part of the publicity line item in the budget. Right now, we only indicate $50,000 for publicity, but this amounts to what I calculate $166,000 in expenditures. In addition, all the mailings, which are a great part of them, are publicity. They're not, notification of something, event. That should be part of the publicity budget so people understand what the town spends in publicity, because it's not really fair to say that you only spend $50,000. So I'd like to see
different revenue sources, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think number 10, and I'll let Mrs. Deary, but number 10, for example, that'll be from Department of Planning, so it may be federal dollars? I'm not sure.
Okay, so if in that case, it's not publicity, then okay, it would be excluded, but a great deal of this is publicity, so it should really be, you definitely spend more than $50,000 on publicity, it's not even close to the real number, so that should really be added to the, amended, the budget should be amended, the money should be moved, so people looking at the budget can really see how their money's being spent. Okay, number 18. Once again, I didn't see this on the website, which is in violation of state law. What do these rules do? The amendment to the bylaws of the town of Hempstead Local Development Corporation.
the department is not here today, sorry about this.
We move on to something else.
Yeah, just give me a minute, I'm somewhat familiar with it.
Okay, so I'll just move on. We'll go back to it. Okay, item number 20. It's a rejection of bids. Just curious, how does, I read the details, how does the town know the bid is too high? I mean, that's essentially what it said in the resolution, so.
Okay, what happened was we had a set amount of money to do a playground in Point Lookout, working with the civics over there. And it came in higher than that. We had to restructure the playground so that the town would do a portion of the work and the contractor would, so the whole job would be redid.
Okay, so
It changed the scope of the job.
you change the scope, okay, so that's. Okay. Item 35, just, I don't believe the resolution indicated the cost of financial, once again, this should be on the website, that's for the details.
Mr. Conley?
Supervisor, item number 35 is employ capital markets. As our advisor will go into the market to borrow money for our capital needs. 2015 services rented was $2,500. 2014, that's the year we went in for both bonds and vans, $39,560. 2013, $5,000.
Nice, just put on part of the website so you know what's going on. Number 42, it's consulting services, amount not to exceed $303,000. I just was curious whether this was put out to bid.
Yes, this process was done through the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. It was out to bid following their protocols. It was advertised on the website, in the New York State Contract Recorder, and also advertised in the newspaper.
So the bids are on the town's website, is that what you're saying?
The advertising for bids is on the town website.
Where would you put advertising for bids? I never saw that section of the website.
We're exactly on the town website.
Yeah.
It was under Sandy Recovery, I believe.
Sandy recovery, okay. Okay, that's all. Then the last item, the personnel, once again, I've said this a dozen times, probably more. I wish there's a number of appointments. I wish how to advertise the non-tested positions. You know, we can list them on the town's website as well, so it doesn't give the opportunity for people who don't have connections in town to get jobs. And then I have one issue with one of the personnel, Laura DiSabatino, which is really Laura DiSabatino Ra. She started in 2010 at $76,000 at a provisional position, non-tested. She's the daughter-in-law of Joe Ra, and now in 2015 she'll be making $115,000, which is over 45% increase. You know, people just don't get raises like that in private industry, and I think it's unfair that, you know, it seems that it's, you know, you have to be connected in order to achieve anything.
Mr. Procacci, while we do not speak normally about individual employees, Mr. Salmon, do you have anything to add
Yes, Supervisor.
about this particular group?
Good morning, everyone. Very happy to speak on this particular resolution. Laura DiSabatino has become an essential employee in the Department of Civil Service. The title, which she took the exam for, passed to #1 on the list. Historically, that office has always had 2 people in this title for several years.
So this is an appointment, Mr. Salmon, of someone who scored #1 on the civil service test.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I did foil that civil service list. There was only 2 people who took the test, both that were employees, so it wasn't like a large pool. And also, the position that she received in 2010 never, I went back and researched it, going back over 10 years, never existed before. And the position, Administrator 2, that she got in, I believe, 2012, if my memory serves me right, never existed going back over 10 years. And, you know, it seems they reshuffled the salaries, that less people at the lower end and more people at the upper end. I mean, I've done extensive, I would go well over my time to describe the whole thing, and this happens in many different departments, but I just wanted to voice that it's really unfair that many of these jobs get given to town employees, the sons and daughters, friends of town employees, town officials, and it's not really generally open to the public, you know. Thank you very much.
May I have a motion? Oh, no. All right.
Supervisor Murray. Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Maguski. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino. Councilman King Sweeney.
Okay, that, may I have a motion?
Second motion.
Supervisor Murray. Councilman Ambrosino. Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Maguski. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino. Councilman King Sweeney.
That concludes the formal portion of the meeting. Bob, is it Bob Mark? Yes. Did you wish to speak? Good morning. Good morning. If you could share your name and address for the record.
My name is Bob Long. I live at 330 Senate Place, Watson, New York. I'm the Vice President of the Watson Preservation Society. I made up a couple of copies that I'd like to pass out to the council.
Or if you could read to the town clerk, please.
So, I mean, you can take a few minutes to read this if you like.
Why don't you share what's on your mind?
Okay.
We'd like to hear from you.
At the beginning of this year, we noticed that the Quaker Meeting House in North Montauk looked like it was getting ready for demolition. It's a landmark building. We notified the town, and the town closed up the building pending repairs to the building. So that was January. In the course of the year, I've been to the Landmarks Preservation Commission. I've spoken to people in the building department, and I've spoken to the real estate agents for the church. The church used to be the Baptist church. That was sold around 2007, roughly, to the Apostolic Assembly of the Faith in Jesus Christ. They're based in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They're trying to sell the church. I think they've been trying to sell it for the past 2 years. So I went to them to find out what they had in mind. Their complaint is they can't sell the old Baptist church because when people see the landmark, Quaker Meeting House, they walk away. So to them, this building's a headache. What I propose is that they give us the Quaker Meeting House, the Preservation Society, and we would move it to a location close to the Quaker Cemetery. I met with the building department, very nice. They said the town might be amenable to moving the building to Parkland if we could come up with the money. So I said, all right, let me, that's another hurdle I've got to do. I talked to the Quakers. Now the Quakers this year have spent a small fortune clearing out their cemetery of about 40 or 50 trees. So they kind of spent a good sum of money, so they really couldn't do it. I did take a picture. If you look at picture number 3, I showed an area where the building could be moved. It's only about 150 feet. And the building has value because in a couple of the other forms, there's forms that were written by an architect in 1934 with the Department of Interior. So this has historical value. And just to show you that we're not a sleepy little group, we run the Wanto Train Museum for the county. And if you look on page 7, you'll see that we've been restoring a train. And with the grant from Madison County, we just built a retaining wall. So we can get things done. So anyway, at last week's historical meeting, the commission shot down their repair plans and told them to come back. I chased after them and I said, well, you said you're going to spend $100,000 fixing this building. Why don't you give it to us? They said to me, and that was the real estate agent, the lawyer, and the architect. We'll give it to you yesterday. So now I'm here today, trying to find out from the town. Are you amenable to us moving if we can get the money?
I think there's a little more conversation than just a Q&A here, but what Councilman Gary Hughes represents the area that encompasses the Old Baptist Church and the Quaker Meeting House. I think there's...
Be more than happy to set up a time for a meeting with you so we can discuss this further and see where we can go with this.
Yeah, that would be terrific. But in the meantime, no repairs have been done in a year, either by the Apostolic Assembly or the town of Hempstead, according to your landmark, chapter 76 or whatever it is. Somebody's supposed to repair the roof's got a hole in it.
As the owner, I would imagine off the top of my head that that would be the owner's responsibility. But again, these kinds of specific issues, you propose a reasonable idea. It's interesting because certainly it has some good history, the meeting house, and we certainly wouldn't want that to go away. But I think these kinds of questions and issues, I think, could be talked about, and maybe the Commissioner of Buildings join the meeting.
My staff will meet with you in the back, get your information so that we can set something up.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
Okay.
Supervisor, if I could just add, Bob, I want to thank you. I live around the corner, as you know, from the train station, and thank you for all the amazing work you've done, especially recently. The train looks great.
Thank you very much.
It does. All right, thank you, Mr. Martin. It was Percacci.
At the last meeting, I kind of ran out of time, so sort of a continuation of what I spoke about last time. As you know, I filed an ethics complaint, 2 of them, and essentially the ethics board tells me that they don't really deal with the public on that, and which is disconcerting because then really there is no outlet outside of filing lawsuits and for residents to go through a great deal of expense if they have dissatisfaction with the performance of a town official. Also, the ethics board, even though they took 6 months, almost 6 months to get back to me, they essentially wrote one sentence, we observed nothing wrong, which, anyone could say that, it's putting the words on paper and describing it, you're putting some skin in the game. So I have a few items I ask that you add to the current ethics law, and there's nothing in state law that would prevent any of you from adding this. State law does not prohibit any of these items, and essentially there's 7 of them. It's 1, any person should be allowed to file an ethics complaint against any town employee with the town's Board of Ethics. And an ethics violation shall be considered any intentional violation of the law. At any time, ethics complaint shall be subjected to the Freedom of Information law. Hence, that if people are interested in seeing what has been done, they could foil it and see how the ethics board has performed. And of course, you know, if it's a criminal investigation, then FOIL does not allow, you know, access to those sort of documents. But if not, you know, that would be public information. All ethics complaints must be acknowledged within 5 business days and shall be given a case number. That's totally reasonable. You know, that's the same as FOIL. Decision of all ethics complaints must be resolved within 60 days, and a detailed explanation of that decision shall be provided in writing to the complainant. 60 days, I think, in general, is an enormous amount of time, but I also have number 6, which, if the final decision cannot be reached in 60 days, a detailed explanation as to why it can't be reached in 60 days, and an estimate as to when it can be, you know, concluded. And then, essentially, I give indefinite, you know, this can go on indefinitely, but, you know, it requires the ethics board to have some accountability, and that they have to explain each time they run run the time down, they have to explain why they need an extension, and this will be FOILable information. So this essentially makes the town board, town officials, town employees accountable, and it also makes the town's ethics board accountable to the public. And this costs no money. To implement this would cost absolutely $0, and I would love to hear from any of you why anyone would object to any of these provisions of the law, because all it's doing is asking for accountability of town workers and town officials. So I'd like to know if anyone would like to comment, you know.
You've submitted the comments for the record, that's, we'll take it under advisement.
Yeah, things that usually means you never get back to me, because you've taken a lot of things under advisement.
It's your opportunity.
I understand it's not a Q&A, but you do Q&A with other people, but you know, this is a sensitive subject for you, and I understand that. Okay, it's not. Ethics is not a sensitive subject. That's why she rings the bell more frequently, because it's not a sensitive subject.
Thank you, Mr. Bracaci.
You're welcome.
Supervisor, before you leave, on behalf of not only the town board, town clerk overseeing taxes, but all of your co-workers here at Hempstead Town Hall, because that's how you made us all feel as your co-workers here. We want to thank you for your outstanding stewardship of the town of Hempstead for the past more than 12 years, your outstanding leadership, and most importantly, for your friendship to each and every one of us. And we know that for Kate Murray, the best is yet to come. We will miss you.
Almost 14 years here in the town of Hempstead, town clerk and supervisor, and I have loved every single minute. I have worked with the greatest professionals, and I just say thank you to each and every one of you out there, and thank you in particular to all of my colleagues, past and present, who have worked with me so diligently and so well. On behalf of the constituents and the residents of the town of Hempstead, it has been my honor. Thank you very much.
Nothing?
The last meeting.
What?
It's a new year next January. I was gonna